In the Qatar Grand Prix, drivers felt the heat of greater than 120 degrees Fahrenheit inside of their cockpits, which for most people is unsurvivable over a period of time. If you watch the interviews, the cool down room, and even the podium, if you looked at Oscar Piastri, you could just see the face of somebody who was truly done, who couldn't go another minute in that car. I mean, what is it going to take for Formula One to stop going to Qatar and other places? I tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take money to run out from those places, and that's just unacceptable. Qatar has some of the worst human rights violations in the world, along with Saudi Arabia, and yet Formula One gladly goes there every year, and we see it time and time again. The amount of worker violations that occur in Qatar and the human rights issues involving females or members of the LGBTQ community, it's ridiculous that this sport continues to push these places. And on top of it, now we're seeing drivers having to retire from races because they are not well. Listen, participating in any sort of sport is going to cause some kind of discomfort at some point. You might get an injury, you might have to take some time off, you might have to recover from something. That's not what's supposed to happen, but it can happen. However, the very well-being of the driver should never be put on the line. And I applaud James Vowles and Olive Williams for saying, if you have to retire, Logan, there is no shame in it. You can get out of the race. You know, I don't have the quote correctly.
Well, I'm not feeling well at all.
Logan, you fought a brave day, but let's bring it in and call it a day. Let's look after you.
And I told you, James, I promise you I can do this.
All right, I'll leave it to you, buddy.
You have my word.
Here, but I remember during the race, I was like, that is the way to treat your driver, with humanity and respect, and not just treat them as a tool to get through this race. And honestly, it's disgusting that these drivers were put through that. 120 plus degrees. Can you just imagine that for a moment? I start to get uncomfortable in 90-degree heat. And we're talking about Fahrenheit here. And yet these drivers were subjected to that. Now, these drivers are going to be warmer than usual. They sit on an engine, basically. But it's unacceptable for Formula One to continue to go to Qatar at this point. It's too hot. And on top of it, there's no reason to go to Qatar. You know, bring Germany back. Heck, give America another race somehow. But stop going to these countries that, A, are dangerous for the drivers, and B, are dangerous for everybody else. I've been saying this for years with Saudi Arabia and Qatar, but now we're at this point, and it's just, it's disgusting. And it's just about money, and the drivers suffer, and everybody else suffers, because the amount of wage theft that's going to occur, the forced labor that will occur for these races, it's truly just horrible, and there's no reason for it to continue. But until everyone, and I mean the people in the garages, the people in leadership positions, actually start to push against it, we're going to see no change. And I'm talking about team principals, Toto Wolff, Christian Horner. You know, these people, these are two of the most powerful team principals in all of racing, and they're doing nothing to say anything against this. You know, it would be something if a driver like Lewis Hamilton, who is very much for human rights, or former driver like Sebastian Vettel, who is very socially conscious, would come out and just refuse to drive in these places, because you shouldn't be driving there for safety and for morality. The Qatar Grand Prix needs to end. I want to thank you for watching the video. I do appreciate it. I'm not going to become all cheerful at the end of this one, because I think it's just ridiculous that we're having to talk about this, and that they're trying to come up with ways for the drivers to train better for this race. It's not about the driver, and it's not about anything. The human body should not be subjected to those temperatures. That's just it. And I'm sure that we're going to get people who say, well, you know, they need to toughen up. No, they don't. No, they don't. What they need is the sport to condemn racing in areas with terrible human rights and to protect their drivers from heat such as this. If you like what you saw, please think about dropping a like and a subscribe, and I appreciate all of you. Until next time, take care.